So, growing up, I always considered myself to be Christian. As long as I've known who Jesus was, I chose to believe in him. Now, growing up, we didn't really go to church and things of that nature. Nevertheless, we always still believed that there is a God. However, in terms of a actual relationship, I didn't actually have one with him. I more so knew of Jesus instead of actually following him.
Yeah.
However, a lot of that started to change when I was 15. When I turned 15, my mom and dad actually got me a Bible. And this was right when COVID had first started. And I started to read a little bit, and especially with COVID going on, that was kind of the perfect storm, I would say, to kind of get to know God a little bit better. After I turned 18, I graduated high school, and I started going to Kent State, and I started attending this group called Kent Chi Alpha, and that started to push me more towards God, and also started attending this other church. Started to get a little bit more serious with God, and I started to actually follow him instead of just more so, oh yeah, I'm Christian. No, I actually started to try to actually follow him and actually follow the word and what he says and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I was actually planning on getting baptized, but then a obstacle hit me. I ran into a situation, and as a result, I started to follow Jesus less for a good 9-10 months. Instead of really going back to God, I started to go down more of a worldly route, which was not good. I started resorting to things like alcohol, things that just aren't good for you. I stopped going to church. I stopped practicing what I was beforehand, and I started to feel all sorts of guilt and shame for some of the things that I did. I started to realize that what I'm doing is not what I should be doing, and that I'm not on the right path.
Yeah.
A few months ago, I saw a Facebook post from a good friend, Olivia Adams, about a collective, and I started attending it as of August 21st. I'll start coming to the services, and I would see like Joseph, his sermons that he would give, they really reminded me that I can be forgiven for what I did, and that instead of turning to things that I did before, that I should start turning to Jesus. And I should turn to the Bible. I should pray more. And there's this huge spark that sort of hit me during these past couple weeks. And I want to give myself to Jesus. I want to declare with my tongue that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and that He died for me, and that I can be forgiven, and that I want to follow Him. I want to get to know Him more. He's a friend. And a best friend. He's a father. He's a mentor. He's a teacher. He's someone that you can look up to. Jesus, he didn't have to die for someone like me or you, but he still made that choice. Nevertheless, he made that ultimate sacrifice and then rose again 3 days later. I think that is incredible. And not too long ago, I was in a position where I thought that, I can't be forgiven for what I did. What I did was, unforgivable, unredeemable.
Yeah.
However, that is certainly not the case, and no matter what you have done, you can be forgiven. And even if you are kind of like me, where you were turning to God, but then you kind of, walked away, you can walk back. You can always come back to the Lord. You accept Him as your Lord and Savior, and you choose to follow Him. I think He can truly give you a path that, and a life that is way better and way more promising than whatever this world tries to offer.